Hello, everyone, and welcome. We still have a couple of minutes before we get started, so I'm just waiting on everyone to join. As you are joining, if you want to type in the chat where you're from, that would be amazing, and we will get started here in just a few minutes. Hello, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon if you are on the East Coast. Hi, Diane from Toronto. It's amazing. As you guys are joining, if you'll just type in the chat for me where you I have two for you. If you will type in the chat where you're from, and then also how you have experienced guilt in new relationships, or if you have or if you haven't. Type that in the chat. If you are with me in the Zoom room, then your message only goes to me. So you're good. I will not read anything too personal. I've got some chill music going in the background. Can you guys hear that? Okay, as folks are joining, type in the chat where you are from. And if you have experienced guilt in new relationships, what that felt like. And I'm going to give us one more minute and then we will get started. Checking in with my folks on YouTube and also on Facebook. Hello. All right, we've got several folks joining, so please type in the chat, tell me where you're from. I feed off of energy in the chat, so you might have to motivate me with a little emoji or let me know if something resonates with you. Let me know if you disagree. That's totally fine. Let me know what stands out to you. Like I like it. I enjoy it. Let me know if you can hear me. I like energy in the chat. Glenda? I'm just assuming your name is Glenda, although it just has your email address. Yes, it is. Welcome back. Fayetteville, Arkansas in the house. I'm in Fort Smith. I didn't know if you knew that or not. Actually, I'm just south of Fort Smith. So we're basically neighbors. We've got Toronto, we've got Arkansas. All right. Well, we will get started today. And we've got some people just hanging out, not wanting to share where they're from, and that's okay. I see you, I feel you. It is all good. But just know if you're afraid to share, if you don't wanna share, first of all, it's okay. You're just sending it in the Zoom to the host, which is me. But it's okay if you don't really feel like sharing. You can also use reactions and emojis, um, as a way to just let me know how you're reacting to things. That's really helpful. Oh, Glenda was in my Huntsville class a while back. Yeah, that's been a while. Um, but I'm glad that you are here, and I'm glad that you were there. And hopefully, we'll get to learn something today that's helpful. Okay, so just a few housekeeping things for those of you that are new. We've got some new folks on the Zoom today, which is awesome. Hello, everybody. Ivanka, hello. Dawn, back. Good to see you again. Glad you guys are all here. And so, just a few housekeeping things since we have some new folks as well. If you are in Zoom, there's a little chat button at the bottom of the screen, and chat is where the energy is at. So, as we go through this, if you see something, if it resonates with you, if you like it, Dawn is here joining from North Carolina. Awesome. Um, put it in the chat if you have a question or if you want me to talk more about a topic, just so I don't lose track of it. If you put it in the Q&A box, at the bottom of your screen, you should see a button for Q&A. If you put the Q&As there, then it helps me to track them. I get a notification and it helps me like a little checklist to know whose question I've answered and whose I haven't. Otherwise, put it all in the chat. It's all good. I like the chat. We're buddies. Um so today we are going to walk through guilt in new relationships. We talked yesterday about guilt and grief in general. And today we're going to talk particularly about new relationships. We're going to talk a little bit about dating, but also new relationships and friendships, and really just expanding into a new life in general. There's a lot of guilt that can be felt as we're going through that. I also have today for you something I've never shared before. So, congratulations. You guys are going to be the first people to ever see this. But when I work with clients one on one, and when I work with clients in a mastermind, which is like a group coaching program, and normally I don't do this for people in the community, but guess what? If you join before Sunday and you are part of the fast action bonus, I will be doing it with you because you're going to get one-on-one coaching for 6 months. What? We will be doing this together is whenever I work intimately with a person, I have 5 categories of things that we track. Things like confidence, things like having a routine, things like feeling a sense of purpose, feeling a sense of direction. We also rate relationships. So, all of these things that like, normally you wouldn't say, "Oh, how can I track how much more confident I've become?" Well, guess what? We do track it. We track how you're feeling in the beginning, and then we track it all throughout the coaching program, whether you're one-on-one or in a group or part of this bonus. This is the first and only time I've done this for people that are in the overall community. So, that's why you need to sign up. But today I'm gonna share with you a client's actual results. I'm going to share with you her numbers and where she was tracking 6 months ago. And then just earlier this week, we had a celebration. She graduated from coaching, and I'm going to show you where she ended up. And I'm not going to share her personal details, of course, but I will share with you some examples of what other clients experience, because the question sometimes we all have is this going to work for me? Like, is this actually going to help me? And so I have never put this together before or shown it. And I wanted to show it today because I think it's very inspiring to know like what is actually possible. And that is what we're going to talk some about today with, which is when you are in grief and when you're early on, you don't even know how it's possible to like life again. You don't know how it's possible. Like, what is the point of being happy again? Because my person isn't here. And so we start with this tiny seed of belief of it is possible, even if you don't know how. That's how I started. And guess what? If you don't even have the tiny, tiny little seed of belief, I will hold that belief for you. I will take that on my shoulders and believe it for you until you start to see it for yourself because it's so amazing. Okay, I'm sorry. I've had too much coffee today. Dawn says, "Wow, I'm so excited and grateful." I'm excited too. Dawn, I'm telling you, it's gonna be good. Okay. Anyway, if you would like to see those results and me to tell you about more the community, please say yes in the chat. And when I get to the end, then I will share that. But obviously, if you don't want to see it, I don't want to share it with you. Okay, so excuse me. We are on day 3 of our 3-day challenge. So if you have missed day 1 and 2, I know a couple people here are new today. It's okay. You're not behind. You know, I would say you haven't missed anything, but that's not true. You should go back and watch the replay because we've covered some good stuff. But that doesn't mean that what you hear today isn't gonna apply or be over your head or all of those things. Like today is separate. It's totally fine. You are welcome. You're gonna get something out of today. Okay. Um, there is a Facebook group, and because the URL is really funky with all the letters and numbers, I just put a screenshot here. Not everyone is a Facebook person. So this is for people who are Facebook people who want to hop in, who want to share some of the things they've learned, who want to share part of their journey, who want to connect with other people. If that is your jam, join us in the Facebook group. It's free. Just free. Just get in there. Um, have an Be present and have an open mind with what you learn today. Um, we learn a lot about grief and how to process it that's actually incorrect. So when I teach or when I share, I just ask that you just have an open mind. Just don't shut it down immediately. Just be open to it and let those little tiny seeds get planted and so that they can start to grow. I encourage you to apply one thing that you learn every day. There might be a lot of things that you learn, but just pick one thing that's important to you. And of course, feel free to invite a friend. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on the challenge, so I think I'm going to be offering it again later this month. Not with the same bonuses. So if these bonuses are important to you, I would sign up now. But if you have found this helpful and you want to invite a friend or you think that they could benefit from it, or maybe they're just a good supporter, like they're just a good, like, ride or die friend, and this would be helpful to them, just invite them and they can join us for the next round. Okay, Don says, "Yes, please share." Absolutely. Okay, so I'm gonna pray and get us started, and we will dive right in. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be here together, to learn together, and to walk this journey together. We ask that you give us wisdom and guidance as we determine the next best steps for us, and that we're just be open to what you have to say today and what you want me to share with people, as you bring up those thoughts in my heart and my mind. That you would help empower people who are afraid, who are worried, who are hesitant to share and open up, that you give them the courage to do that and to just vulnerably face what is in front of them. We thank you again for the ability to meet like this, to have the technology, to have the just open time on our schedules to be able to be here, or for the people who see this in the future to watch the replay. And we love you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. So if you are new to me, to this program, listen, if you would like to learn more about my story and why I'm talking to you today and why I'm even here, I encourage you to go back to day 1. I spend some significant, heartfelt time talking through my story and sharing more of the details of my experience. So you're going to get the very quick and short version, just to let you know that I have walked this walk with you. Um, what you see here, so July of 2021, just 3 weeks short of what would have been our 20th wedding anniversary, my husband, Nathan, died unexpectedly from COVID complicated by double pneumonia. 3 weeks after we have 4 beautiful kids, as you can see here. I'm totally not biased with how amazing they are. We have 4 beautiful, amazing kids together, and they were ages 10 to 19 at the time. This was the Christmas before. And 3 weeks after he died, I was planning on hosting family and friends over. We were gonna have a 20th wedding anniversary extravaganza party. I had ordered the T-shirts. I had done all of the things, and instead of facing that day with love and laughter and excitement as a wife, I ended up hosting family and friends to celebrate Nathan's life. And I did wear my T-shirt, but I was crushed with sorrow as a widow and now a solo mom of 4 teenagers who somehow had to figure out how to pull my life back together. I am so incredibly grateful and thrilled to share with you that I do love my life again. I absolutely love my life. I have a life of joy. I do things now that I never thought was possible 3 years ago. I never would have thought sitting here sharing my story with you and other people today. I've traveled to 4 countries. I've been involved in new hobbies and ventures. I got to thank Dave Ramsey in person for the influence that he's had on me and my family. I even now am remarried to the most wonderful and amazing man, and even have a bonus son as part of this whole experience. And I have to say that this journey has been messy and crazy and full of ups and downs, but I was so determined not to die with my husband. Even though I wanted to, even though it felt like I had, I knew that I had to do anything and everything to figure out how in the world do I get to this other side of grief. So, again, you can listen to day 1. I tell you exactly where I was sitting when I made the decision to make a change. I show you a picture of where I was sitting. But what I did after that moment was I just dove all in to learning about grief. I read tons of books. I interviewed hundreds of other widows. I went through multiple coaching certifications. I went through Faith Based Coaching Academy and through Grief Recovery Institute. And I learned anything and just consumed anything and everything about grief, applied it to my life, and began people began coming to me and saying like, how are you doing this? I want to do what you're doing. I want to be on the path that you are on. And so I have made it my mission and my passion now to help other widows. And where Brave Widow is different than therapy, where we are different from a lot of other grief communities, is I my philosophy and how I view grief recovery and widowhood. I don't just help widows from a state of dysfunction to function. I don't just help people with processing the hurt and loss. We do that. I will sit in the grief with you. I just got off a call right before this call right now with someone who is considering being part of Brave Widow. And as she was sharing the hurt that she experienced with her husband, I openly said, like, this it sucks and it's hard and it's heavy. And I am here to sit in it with you because that's where you are and what you need right now. So I do that. I help people process hurt and loss. I get them to a state where they are not living just being crushed by sorrow every day. And that is the foundation. That is just where we start. Okay. So, what I help people do, we process the past, we process the hurt and loss. That is our foundation. And then we start to reclaim your life. We start a process of exploring who you are now and what you might want for your future. Right now, you may not know that, and that's okay. You're normal. But not only do we explore who you want to be, what kind of life you want to live, we bring it to fruition. We pull it forward so that you can start living a life that you enjoy and that you love again. And I'm not going to get off on a tangent here because I could tell you even just about the client that I worked with earlier this week, where we went through her results and just the amazing things that she's doing and other people are doing. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just keep going until we get to the end. This is so powerful because this is a real feeling, not wanting to live life fully after my husband transitioned. I can live life again. Yes. And I'm going to teach you about the and. Hold on. That's in here. Okay. All right. So here's some ground rules. And I say this tongue in cheek. Okay. I know that grief and guilt is very hard and heavy. I have lived it. I have lived it with other widows. And so I say this tongue in cheek because I honor and respect the pain and the hurt that you and others have felt and have gone through. And I also like to have an environment that is honest, authentic, and uplifting to people. And so some of these topics we can laugh. It's okay. We can laugh. We can be curious. We can have this sense of like being forward momentum, and we can do that without having any judgment. Forming new friendships, rebuilding a life, dating again, they all come with expectations and mind drama and what's everybody going to think and how soon is too soon and how long is too long. And so we're not here to judge any of that. Okay. I can share with you the pros and cons of all of those things, but we are here to learn. We are here to be curious, to laugh together where we can, and go on this journey together. So, three things I'm going to share with you today that we're going to tackle. One is guilt and new relationships. Two is this question of, okay, if I'm forming new connections, does that mean I'm forgetting the past? And three, is it possible? Is it even possible? It's a question I asked myself. Is it even possible to open yourself up emotionally for joy, love, and even companionship again? In the beginning, it seems really impossible. Okay, so as we are thinking about new relationships, new friendships, um, starting to have some sort of life again. So when we go through grief and we go through this traumatic experience, we tend to focus everything inward. Like our world becomes us. And any of the to-dos of other, if we have kids, if we have family, if we have obligations, we focus on that. But our worldview just immediately becomes inward and we like pull back. And that is totally normal because we have experienced such a deep hurt. So when we think about now trying to open that back up and trying to have a life that isn't just solely focused on this hurt and pain and grief and just survival mode, like we're in survival mode. Maybe we're moving into maintenance mode. Maybe now we're trying to figure out like, okay, this is my new life and I hate it. How could it be better? We're starting to like be in this exploration stage. There can come up a lot of guilt. So what I would like for you to do, we did a little bit of this yesterday, is think about what thoughts are creating the feelings of guilt that you might have in forming new relationships, whether that's friendships, whether it's dating, whether it's connections with other people. Let me know in the chat, like what thoughts that you might have had about feeling guilty and having in building new relationships with people. So, some of the thoughts that I had when I was starting to figure out who I wanted to be and what kind of life that I wanted to live is, what are other people going to think? Like, what is the right time frame for someone to grieve and be horribly depressed and live that life? What is it? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 10 years? Like, what is socially acceptable? I didn't know. I could ask 10 different people and get 10 different answers. Okay. So for me, some of my guilt was figuring out like what are the societal norms and expectations? Like, how can I form new friendships with people or do things with friends? Go to a concert with two of my girl friends that I had worked with. And at what point could I do that, but also not be like making it look like I didn't care about Nathan anymore? Like, "Oh, look at her. She went out to a concert. Obviously she's gotten over it now." Um, what we want to do as we're feeling guilty, and again, we talk a lot about thought reframing in day 2, so if you're interested in that, please go watch that one. But we wanna understand, like, what thoughts are causing us to feel guilty, and so all my thoughts are things like, people are gonna say it's too soon, people are gonna judge me, people are gonna say, I should be grieving for a year or 2 years, or people are gonna think like, "Oh, she's trying to live her best life now that she's not married. She's probably glad she's not married anymore." Like, I just had all of these very negative thoughts about what other people were gonna think. And so, what we want to do in this situation is to challenge those beliefs and reframe the beliefs and expectations that we think other people have for us or that we have for ourselves that is causing this feeling of guilt. We also want to show ourselves so much self compassion and forgiveness as we're learning this new life out. I'm gonna read the comment here. "It just feels wrong, like I'm moving on without him. And how could I do that to him even though he said he didn't want me to be alone? It's still so hard to move forward." Yes, I totally understand. In fact, I will share with you that Nathan was very clear. If anything ever happened to him, he didn't want me to date, didn't want me to get remarried. And he would say, "I know in the Bible it says that people are not married in heaven, but we are going to be married in heaven. I don't care what the Bible says." Like, it was kind of our joke that I couldn't have any angel boyfriends. I couldn't talk to anyone else. Like, he was not going to have it. So I had to overcome so much guilt and mind drama and just negative thought patterns around, like when people say, "Nathan would want you to be happy." I'd be like, "No, he wouldn't. No, I don't know. You obviously do not know Nathan. He would not want me to be happy dating other people or finding someone else. Absolutely not." But I was able to come to a place where I felt at calm and at peace with even being able now to be remarried completely guilt-free, which is amazing. "I don't feel guilt moving forward, but I feel stuck." All right, I got you. When you're thinking about guilt in grief, one of the things that you want to watch out for is all of the shoulds. So if you hear your thought or you see it, and one of it, and it includes the word should. I should do this. I'm supposed to do that. They'll think I should be doing this. A lot of times, should is a little red flag that tells us that we are dealing with other people's expectations or what we think other people are going to expect of us. So, as we talked about yesterday, we want to reframe some of those thoughts. And as we're feeling those feelings of guilt with new relationships, identifying our thoughts, asking, "Is this true? And also, is it serving me? How do I feel when I'm choosing to think these things versus how do I want to feel? And what would I need to think in order to feel that way?" This is a very simplified version of what was already simplified yesterday. But if you want more detail about and examples about reframing thoughts, you can watch day 2. We covered that. All right. So I have a question for you. So get ready, get your chat fingers ready. Does forming a new relationship or new friendships mean that we are forgetting or abandoning the past? What do you think? And you can also know or think something in your mind, but not feel it in your heart and in your body. So your answer might be, I know that forming new friendships doesn't mean that I'm forgetting my person, but it feels like it. Oh, it doesn't, but it feels that way. Yes. No, not at all. Awesome. That's great. It took me a while to get there, not with friendships, but with dating and a new relationship. So here's what I challenge you to think about. One of the best analogies that I heard when I was first, and I'm sorry, this is very pixelated. I don't know why it's coming through like that, but what I'm trying to show here is a picture of an image of a house. Okay. This house is you, your heart, your family. Like, this is you. Okay. You have this house. And when you add a room onto a house, you're simply expanding the house. Okay. You're not taking away part of the house. Your how you utilize the house really isn't changing. You're just simply expanding. I think we honor our husbands by moving forward and trying to find love again. It's an example of acknowledging what a wonderful life we had. Oh, that's a beautiful way of putting that. I think for me, one of the things I had to recognize was that I didn't want my life to end when his did. Like, I thought that that would be crushing to him as well, to feel that I just stopped living when he died. But sometimes it takes us a while to get there. Another way that I would think about our heart and our life expanding is, okay, I have a picture of 3 kids here. Now, some of you might have kids and some of you not. So, maybe you don't have kids, maybe you have pets. Maybe you I collect Baby Yodas. Maybe you have a Baby Yoda collection. I don't know. Okay, whatever it is that you just, like, love. If you're a parent, this is the easiest way for me to explain expansion of our heart. Um, when you have your first child, your first pet, your first Baby Yoda, whatever that is, you think like, "Oh, I love this child so much. I love him with all my heart, and there is no way I could love another child the way I love this child. Yep, I might have more, but, I would never love them as much as I love this human in front of me." And then you have your second child. And the love that you have for your second child doesn't take away the love and the commitment and how you feel about the first child. So it's not like your love was like a level 10 and now it's a level 7 for your first child. But what you realize is by having a second child, your heart has expanded, your heart has grown, and now you just can love so much more. And then if you have a third child or a fourth child, you realize you're like, "Oh my gosh, I have all of this love inside of me. My heart has grown so much. Can love all these humans. I could just love them all, and I love them all. I don't like them all the same, but I love them all the same. Like, I have all this love for all these tiny people, or if you're a pet person, all these tiny pets or Baby Yodas, whatever it is for you." Okay? But your heart has, like, grown and expanded. It's not like the more you experience or the more that comes into your life, the less love and care that you have for the first thing or the first person. It just grows and grows and grows and grows. And, if you had 10 kids, it would just grow even more. So, as we think about our lives, our relationships, our ability to date or remarry again, it never changes how we feel and how we love our person. I love Nathan. I loved the life that we had together in our relationship. It was far from perfect. It was messy at times, but I love it. And I love my life with Robert. It's different, but I love them both. And my love for Robert and the love for the life that I have now doesn't take away the life that I had before, but that also doesn't mean that the life that I have now has to be like second best, has to be worse than the life that I had before. Doesn't have to be different. It can be both. So put something in the chat and let me know how that is sitting with you. That is a truly amazing way of seeing it. Yes, it's true. So, with new relationships and many, many, many times in grief, if you've listened to the podcast, if you've listened to me talk very much, you're going to hear me say "and" a lot. I love Dr. I can't even talk. I love Dr. John Deloney's podcast. He's part of Dave Ramsey's team, but he's a doctorate in counseling, and he takes real calls from people real time and talks them through their relationship and personal challenges. And he talks a lot about both and. Okay. So in grief and in much of life, we can embrace the word and instead of the word or. Okay. Two things can be true at the same time when normally our brain wants to think it's one or the other. Like, think about culture, right? They think, oh, Emily, she got remarried. Congratulations. You've crossed the finish line of grief. You're not sad about Nathan anymore. You've moved on. That chapter, that door has closed, and you're just off on a new life. It's one or the other. When in fact, it's both. Okay. And so, how we embrace and is by saying things like, I can love my past and I can love my future. I can love my person and I can love another person. I can honor what I had and love what I had and create a beautiful future. It's both. It's two things that are true at the same time. And there is so much of what we will experience through this grief journey and through this journey of creating a life that we want and a life that we love, where we are embracing the and. I can know, like, for example, in the early days of grief, part of what is so weird and trippy and hard is I can know my husband is dead and he's never coming back. And I still look for him to walk through the front door at 6 o'clock every night. I can know my husband is gone and I have accepted it and I've come to terms with it and I don't like it, but I know he's gone, he's not coming back. I've accepted it. It is what it is. And I can just drive myself crazy by just swirling around in thoughts of how is this possible? How are we here? How is it possible he's not going to be here anymore? Both of those things are true at the same time. And it's a little bit of a mind trip at first when you're trying to embrace these things. I can embrace and yes. Yes. I love it. And this picture here is just what I'm trying to illustrate with that as we are embracing new relationships and a new life as something new for our future, one of the ways that we can release guilt is by acknowledging that we're not abandoning the past. We're not forgetting what we had. We're not trying to close the door on that. Our heart is simply expanding. Our life is growing and continuing on this crazy journey. So I don't have to feel guilty for trying to build new relationships and create something that I love because I can still love both. Okay, question time. Type in the chat for me. What fears do you have about opening yourself up to joy, companionship, and or new relationships? So as you think about that, as you think about expanding, are there any fears that come up for you? Give everybody a minute here. That it won't be as beautiful as what I had. Yes, feel overwhelmed. As a two-time widow, I'm afraid of losing again. Well, everyone, guess what? You're normal. You're normal. Those are normal. Those are normal fears. So how do we navigate through that? Okay. So part of it is as we're embracing new relationships, new connections, a new life again, we're just going to take some very small, gentle steps as we move forward. We're going to embrace embrace the unknown, embrace that we are on a journey that we don't see the end of at the end of the line. There's a quote, I think it's from Night of the Museum 2, maybe, and a lot of times it's put on this meme of Lord of the Rings, so if I'm nerding out too hard, I'm sorry, but, essentially, there's this quote where it's like, one guy is asking the other guy, like, "Hey, where are you headed? Where are you going?" And the other guy says, I don't even know where I'm going tomorrow." And it's Robin Williams' character that responds, and he says, "Wow, how exciting." And it's often illustrated with Lord of the Rings because it's like, "Oh, we're on this great adventure, and we have no idea where we're going, and we don't know what it's like when we're gonna get there, and we have no idea, like, is it gonna be better?" As one of you mentioned, it's not gonna be as good. Is it gonna be exciting? Is it gonna be, like, horrible? Like, what is it gonna be? We don't know. We're stepping forward in faith, and we try to embrace the journey of enjoying the journey, enjoying figuring it out. So as I teach widows as they're moving forward through grief, how I think about it is we start out in survival mode, like we're just trying to just breathe, right? Then we move into maintenance mode. So it's like, okay, I'm 6 months in, maybe I'm a year in, whatever. I have my feet underneath me. This is my new routine, and I hate it, and it's horrible. And is this really the rest of my life? Like, really, this is it? Like, this, okay, 40 more years of this? Wow. And so, where widows tend to come to me at is they're kind of in this maintenance mode, and they feel lost, they feel overwhelmed, they feel like they don't know, well, what is my next step? Like, what direction do I even go? And so where I help people is moving from that, like, we're in maintenance mode now, to exploration, which is a third stage. So we're going to do some exploring. We're going to try new things. We're going to take, there's a pottery class. Let's go try that. There's a line dancing class. Let's go try that. There's a volunteer opportunity at the animal shelter. Let's try that. Like, we just start exploring some different paths. And as you do that, you start to develop. I also teach people how to make friendships, how to make new connections, how to, like, even if you hate small talk and you're not good at making friends and all the things that you want to tell me why you can't do it, we overcome all that. And you start, like, really putting the pieces of this puzzle together, and you start, it's like a quilt, like you're just sewing one piece on another piece on another piece. And then as you move through that stage into creation, so we go from exploring to creating, then you step back and you see the beauty of this quilt that you've started to put together. And you start to gain this confidence of, okay, yes, yes, I like this. I didn't really care for this. I tried out real estate investing. I could tell you a whole story about that. I loved it. I still do it. I tried out line dancing. It's like, I went one time, I had a lot of fun. I'd probably do it again. I'm not going to be joining any line dancing teams, okay? The point is that in the exploration phase, we're really taking some small, gentle steps. We're allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, and we're figuring out what we want in this new life and figuring out who we are, what we want, and trying again. Embracing all of those things. Um, I want to share with you, I've never shared this either, but So our Brave Widow members and some of our clients, I want to share with you what they have either achieved as part of their future growth and part of what they want to create for their life again, or things that they're actively working on. Okay. So there's lots of changes, as you can see. There are people that have decided to put boundaries in with family members. And so they've gained a lot of confidence with that. I have people that have made big career changes. We have a Brave Widow who she's decided she wants to be a personal fitness trainer and nutrition coach. We have another widow that decided she wanted to be a published author. And you've probably heard me talk about Sue. And she is working on publishing her third book. It is amazing. Amazing. We have another widow who has had years and years of family trauma and dysfunction and emotional unintelligence. And she has done some deep work and changed that so that all of that trauma and dysfunction isn't getting passed down to her son and her grandkids. She is changing the family tree. We have widows that are traveling to new places alone and being adventurous and meeting new people and friends in other states and countries. We have a widow who is decided that she wants to do pickleball and she's going to join a group and do that. Like, people are taking these baby steps, following the process, and creating things within their life where the vision of what they want becomes clearer. And then they start to bring that into their reality. They start to do some of these things. Maybe you don't know. Do I want to date again? Do I want to get married again? I don't know. What worked for me and what has worked for so many other widows is I had to look at my future and live in surrender and saying, "God, I don't know. I don't know what I want. You know what I want more than I know what I want. Like, I think I know kind of, sort of, maybe what I would like, but I don't exactly know what I want." So, when I made a lot of mistakes in dating early on, I could tell you stories that would have you laughing the rest of the day, I'm sure, at my misfortune. But, um I had to stop dating, and what I decided was that I wanted to build a life that I could love again and that I could be excited about, whether or not that meant I would be dating someone or being married. I wanted to get to a point where being married to someone would be like icing on the cake, but it's icing on the cake. Like, I still have a life that I love and where I feel complete and I'm actually excited about again. And so I dedicated months, close to a year of my life of figuring out, how do I build a life that I love again? How do people do it? How do you figure it out? And so I learned to do that. I was able to do it. And when I reached the point where I felt like, I'm loving my life again, I think I'm ready to start dating. I think, it might be a fun experience. Then I met Robert 2 weeks later. Like, it was just crazy how I was able to attract the right person once I had the confidence and I built myself to a place where I love my life again. Okay. So I want to share with you actual client results. So all of my one-on-one clients, all of the people in my mastermind, we track each of these categories and we track some other things as well, but these are the 5 things that generally most widows are struggling with. So you could do this for yourself and write what your before would be. But what I ask everyone whenever I'm in their consult and whenever I'm working with them is I work through most, if not all, these categories. And I ask them to just tell me, like, how would you rate this on a scale of 1 to 10? How do you feel about it? So this one, the first is like routine, feeling calm, knowing you have a routine, the level of stress in your life. How would you rate that? How would you rate your sense of moving forward and having a sense of direction? How would you rate your confidence in yourself, in your ability to make decisions, and your ability to do things that you want to do or solve problems? How would you rate your sense of purpose and meaning? How would you rate your relationships, and if you're confident with making new relationships or with setting boundaries on existing relationships or dating or whatever relationships is for you right now? And so I wanted to share with you this particular client's results. We track this at least twice a month. For some people, we track this every single week. But I wanted to show you where she started and then where she ended. And we just did her celebration call earlier this week. And she was like, "I don't even know who I am on this call. Like, I'm a totally different person. This program has changed my life. She's like, I just hear myself talk and I just have so much more confidence. And, there are things that she still wants to work on, of course. I believe we should work on ourselves the rest of our lives. But just hearing the things that she would say and share and do, listening to her on that call this week versus listening to her 6 months ago was like a different person. So, I just want to ask you to imagine how you might feel. So, how would you rate these categories for yourself now? And how do you want to feel about them? How would you want to rate yourself? Like, what does that actually look like for you? And to imagine how you would feel if you could say, "Yeah, my confidence is at a 9. I feel a deep sense of purpose." That's a 9. I have a 9 with all my relationships, and I've got friends, and I feel better about my relationships with family. And, I'm maybe not ready to date yet, but I feel good about having the right mindset before I decide to do that. Like, if you could say, these after numbers are your numbers, how much differently would you feel? And so, as I invite you to join us in the Brave Widow community and to work with me one on one, and you'll have the opportunity, if you want to be part of group coaching in the future with the mastermind, you'll have all kinds of opportunity to work through some of your existing challenges and pain points where you could be 6 months from now rating these things much differently than you would rate them today. 6 months from now is April, April of 2025. Like, imagine how much differently the early part of next year would be, having the tools, having the implementation, having some accountability with where you're doing, having the guidance of like, this is exactly what I would do next. This is how, okay, well, Emily, I don't know how to make friends. Well, guess what? I'm going to teach you how to do it. Well, I don't know how to build confidence in myself. Okay, well, I'm going to teach you how to do that. I have a whole system, I have a whole process. I'm going to teach you how to develop confidence in yourself, in your ability to make decisions, and your ability to do new things. Like, I can teach you how to do anything on here and more. And so, as I invite you today to join me in the community, I really thought for a long time about how I could offer this 3-day challenge, and I could teach you some things, and maybe you would be like me and you would be like, "Okay, well, I learned a couple things, but, I don't know, where do I really go from here?" Right? And I could invite you to the community and you might say like, okay, well, I'm kind of busy now. We got the holidays coming up, and maybe January, it's just going to be hard. The holidays are going to be exactly. Exactly. That's why you need to start now so that you have somebody to walk side by side with through the holidays, through some of these big milestones so that you don't wait until January. Do you know how many courses I've bought for hundreds of dollars that literally just sit in my inbox? I've never even opened them because there's no accountability. There's no like community that goes along with that. It's like, oh, I can watch these videos. I can take this course. I could improve my skill. The reason Brave Widow exists is because my coach Betsy said, "Emily, I signed you up to go on someone's podcast to present what you have. And so you better get your website up and your social media ready, because when that podcast goes live, TikTok, you got to have something to show people." If she had not pushed me to do that, I don't know, maybe I would still be thinking about doing Brave Widow, and I would be worried about what people are going to think about me. And I'd be worried that people are going to say Well, who are you to help other people? Like, I'd have all the mind drama. It was my coach is the reason I'm here today. And since then, I've hired probably 5 other coaches to help me with just different areas of my life. I still have coaches. I will always have coaches because that has helped me to actually move forward, to actually do something different, to actually tell me, what do I do next? I'm stuck. I don't know what to do next. What should I do? And to have someone to help guide me along the way has been priceless. I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on coaching, and the value I've received out of that has been exponentially even more. So, as I thought about the holidays, as I thought about what would I do if someone offered me to join their community and to pay for this program and this group and to pay for this connection, like, I would probably think to myself, I'll do it another time. I don't know. Is this really gonna work for me? I don't really know. Is this, a good fit? I don't really know." Like, that's probably what I would think. So, I was like, "How would I make it so tempting that people couldn't say no?" Like, how would I make the value so insanely good that your thought wouldn't be like, "Oh, wow, I don't know if I wanna spend this much money." Your thought would be, "Whoa, if I don't sign up for this now, I'm would actually be losing money because if I decide to do it in the future, it's gonna cost me a lot more than if I decide to do it today, much less the emotional cost of swirling in the unknown and what's next." So that is why I added these fast action bonuses because I'm like, what could I add to this offer to just make it so good people would think that they're crazy for not taking me up on this offer? So, what I added on here, first of all, I cut the price. Okay. So, the price is 50% off, which I usually only ever do on Black Friday. Like, that's the only time that I've ever had the membership at 50% off is Black Friday. So I am offering you that between now and Sunday at midnight. And I'm also offering 6 months of monthly one-on-one coaching calls, which I've never offered that before. And the dating masterclass series, which I've sold separately on its own of upwards of $500. That is an 8-part series of live calls that I did, and even if you're not interested in dating, okay? I talk about relationships, communication, attachment styles, about your personal brand and how you put yourself out in the world and how you attract people. The dating series is some of the best stuff I've done, and it's very helpful just in relationships and communication, even if you have 0 interest in dating, even if dating makes you just the thought of it is, like, visceral, just learning about relationships and communication, lots of good stuff in there. Thank you so much. You are so welcome. I am so excited. Dawn, we're gonna be meeting together next week. I'm so excited that you are all in. And yeah, that is what I wanted to offer to you because I wanted you to feel like you people as widows are already struggling confidence confidence in their ability to make decisions, with making financial decisions especially can be really difficult. Like, I was the breadwinner, okay? Nathan was a stay-at-home dad for 11 years when we had our 4th, Natalie. So for 11 years, he was a stay-at-home dad. I worked a very demanding executive corporate job. I made a great salary. I had a great compensation plan, and I was the breadwinner. And when Nathan died, I had all of these fears around money. Now, Nathan's death didn't change anything for me financially. I was still the breadwinner. I was still the person making the income. He wasn't making any financial income to the family, so I shouldn't have had any of these fears, but I still did. I just stockpiled as much cash as I could in my savings. I stopped investing. I, was just worried that something was going to happen with my job or my finances. So even though logically it didn't make sense that I would have all these fears around money, I do. I did. I don't now. I did. Um so I understand that as a widow, you've lost your thought partner. You've lost the person to help you make good decisions. Even if you're The person I talked to earlier today said it best. She's like, "My husband didn't make any decisions. Basically had to make all the decisions, and it's still hard to make decisions even though he didn't actually make them. Just having someone to talk to was incredibly helpful." And you're absolutely right, it is. And so I teach you what to do when you no longer have a thought partner and making decisions. So I know it's hard to make a decision. I know it's hard financially to invest in yourself, to invest in something that you're not 100% sure it's going to help you, or that you're going to have the commitment to do it, or whatever it is. So that is why I'm packaging it this way, so that the value isn't the question. Like, is this program worth it? Like, 1,000 times over, yes, it's worth it. It's more of a question of, do I want to do this? Do I feel that this is going to help me? So, who is this program for? It physically pained me to put this many words on a PowerPoint slide, but I wanted to list out all of the people that I thought, if you feel stuck, if you're wondering what's next, if you feel isolated, lost, overwhelmed, all the things you guys have told me in the chat. How did I know? How did I know you were going to say that? Because that's what widows go through. If you are in survival mode, or if you're in maintenance mode and you want something more, if you want a structured process, if you want to have guidance that's action oriented, if you want a faith-based approach, if you want to rebuild a life that you can love and you're doubting it, you're like, I don't even know. Is that even possible? Can I have a life that I love again? It is possible. And again, we start with that little seed of belief that it's possible. And if you don't believe it's possible, I'll believe it for you. It's okay. Just start, just get started. Just take that little baby step. I will hold that belief for you until you start to believe it for yourself. I've helped many other widows. I know I can help you too. And I would love to be able to do that. I would love to be able to be part of your journey. So, if you have any questions for me, I haven't seen any pop in the Q&A box. And let me just check what I have. I still have a few minutes. I know we're right at time, but I will stay on here for a few more minutes. If you have any questions about what I've covered with the 3-day challenge, if there was anything you were hoping I would cover, but I didn't, or anything that you're like, hey, I'm looking for a resource on this, just put it in the chat, put it in the Q&A box, and I will speak to it. I am just like so thrilled that several of you have hung out with me this whole week. I feel like we're good friends now. This has been a huge blessing, especially coming up on this first wedding anniversary without my best friend. Thank you. I know that all the firsts are really hard. So my heart is with you right now for sure. Okay, well, I don't see anything else in the chat or the Q&A, so I will end us here right on time. Thank you guys so much for joining. One question. Can you clarify the cost for 6 months of one-on-one plus the webinar? Okay, so let me go back up here. So what I have done is I have bundled all of these things and these prices down here. So, if you even want to join, if you want to pay $97, right? A quarter is 3 months. But if you do it before Sunday, okay, if you take advantage of this price here, I'm going to give you 6 months of coaching. One-on-one monthly coaching calls. So we'll just meet once a month. It's not every single week, but you'll have 6 calls where monthly we can meet one-on-one. And I have bundled that in there and I will honor that. So you can join for $97. You can decide, I'm not going to keep doing this. You can cancel after the first 3 months and I will still meet with you one-on-one for the next 3 months. So all of that, does that help answer your question? I just wanna make sure because I do have one-on-one coaching, that is separate where we meet typically every week. But for this purpose, I have bundled all this together. I would like to join. This is a phenomenal opportunity, and I know you will offer great value. I'm a grief recovery coach, but I am stuck. Ah, I would love to work with you, especially I have a heart for coaching and coaches, and I'm excited. Yes. Okay. Go to bravewidow.com/fast and sign up there. Or shoot me an email, Emily@bravewidow.com. I'll send you the link to sign up. And then I will send you the link where you can schedule your first coaching call with me. And we're going to get started. That would be amazing. Last day of the price offer, yes. So this will expire on Sunday at set to expire on Sunday at midnight. So that page will actually roll over to a different page on Sunday at midnight. And I am gonna do another a challenge again, and I will probably offer some bonuses, but it will not be this level because at some point my capacity is gonna be limited on how many one-on-one calls I can do just because they're so much more intensive, and time consuming, obviously, one-on-one. But, I'm sure I'll have some sort of bonus that's part of that. It'll just look a little bit differently. So for this particular package, it will end Sunday at, midnight. Thank you for asking that. Okay. Well, you guys have a phenomenal rest of your day and your week, and I look forward to seeing you in the community very soon.